and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we discuss issues that concern women and also men actually. We discuss issues such as domestic violence, laws that help women, laws that don't, size zero, who said size zero is normal, body shaming, what's in fashion, medical issues from breast cancer to menopause, all kinds of issues. Nothing is really off the table on this show. But today I'm going to be discussing a very interesting topic in keeping also with the festival season. We're going to be talking about women in mythology, how they are portrayed, why our stories, our epic stories usually focus from the male point of view. What about Draupadi's story? What about Sita's story? What about Kunti's story? What about Gandhari? These are some of the issues I'm going to be discussing on the program today, and joining me are two experts really. I have with me Chanda Narang. She is the CEO of Frazer and Haws, and in fact they are also launching a Lakshmi series, I think in keeping with the festival season. So what is the lure of mythology and gods and goddesses? And of course I have with me Neelima Dalmia Adhar. She's an author and she's out with the latest book, a very interesting book on Radha, the princess of Vansara. In fact, it's very interesting because this is really in keeping with what we are talking about, the women's point of view really, Neelima. Your other book also, Secret Diary of Kasturba, again the women's point of view. So you are very much, good to have you on the show. So tell us a bit about Radha, about the book before we go and talk about the topic.
Thank you, Priya, for having me on this show, and thank you for choosing me for this extremely exciting and topical subject that we're going to do today. About Radha, I did not choose Radha. Well, I always say this, that my subjects I don't choose, they choose me.
I see.
And Radha, the book is pretty much an abstraction of my reality, or I would say that I am an abstraction of Radha's reality. So where Radha's persona has merged with mine, or mine has flowed into hers, I can't see that line anymore. So my book is filled with magical realism. I have focused not on the bhakti aspect of Radha. I've looked at Radha, the woman who is in a relationship which is outside her marriage with her younger nephew, who is 13 years younger. And what intrigued me about Radha's story, of course, the quintessential love story between Krishna and Radha is irresistible.
Correct.
Nobody can not want to be loved like that, or surrender to love like that. But more than that, what intrigued me was that Radha was married to a very, very powerful Yadav chieftain. He's an extremely good-looking man, the Chote Mukhya, his father's the head of the tribe. And he's robust, he's got all the characteristics of a tribe that believes in ravaging women, in deflowering them and picking up whoever they like. So with all of that, and his marriage to Radha, who's this beautiful princess, unparalleled beauty, how did he tolerate her flagrant defiance of their marriage? That is what intrigued me.
It's a very interesting, in fact, I like the fact that you're focusing on the human aspect of it. Exactly. And I'm going to come back to you on that. But Chanda, it's festive season and, and it's very interesting that you launched the Lakshmi series, the festive season. I know Diwali is Lakshmi and Saraswati, but usually, the role of women in mythology, and how do you see it in your show? Because Frazer and Haws is, must go to showroom, I think, in Delhi. So from there, you get to know popular culture, what appeals to people, what works with people. So which are the goddesses that people like and why? So the backstory.
Frazer and Haws, and you couldn't have put a more pertinent question, because Frazer and Haws actually started with the Mahalakshmi.
Acha.
Our first terracotta, gold and silver figurine, beautiful work of art, was actually sculpted by my mother. Wow. My mother's a sculptor, and she did it in terracotta. Yes, she's a sculptor, creator, and an author. We dressed up Mahalakshmi in gold and silver, and she is how we actually got Frazer and Haws into India. Otherwise, we were exporters, but it was only when we started working with Hindu mythological figures. And there was something that drove us, a passion that drove us to keep creating the mothers more than the regular deities, is really what brought the people to our door. So we took the license of Frazer and Haws and we launched Frazer and Haws in Delhi first, with the figurines, with the Devis, with the mothers.
Wow.
We find them very powerful, we find them very moving, we find their stories extremely passionate, and we find their characters and the portrayal of the characters to be very, very debatable.
That's
Debatable,
yes.
yet extremely sensuous, extremely fascinating, intriguing, in fact. You really can't tell whether these women are actually weak or strong or conditioned to the times. They have stood their ground again and again and actually created a lot of Leela themselves. Not the men, they have, women have.
Yeah. In fact, that is the point I want to take off is, it's interesting that you told Radha's story. So everybody speaks, from Lord Krishna or, your other book, Kasturba's story. So the role of women, how do you see it portrayed and do you see it changing? Sita has always, been the dutiful wife who had to go through the Agni Pariksha. Radha is the one who's been tried for the adulterous relationship. You write also, why not Krishna? So is that something that you're
I
consciously
feel that
bringing
the
out?
narrative of women in mythology has consistently changed. The narrative takes the form of the social milieu at that time. Valmiki's Ramayana, for instance, has a completely different portrayal of Sita than Tulsidasa's Ramayana. Vedvyasa's Draupadi, and I'm coming to the more topical Chitra Devyakuruni's Draupadi, there's a stark difference between those two. So, the role of women probably has been the same, but it has been colored by the eyes of the people who want to see her in that particular role. Radha has been deified. Till 400 years ago, there was no mention of Radha. In the Srimad Bhagavat of Krishna's childhood, there is no Radha. Who created Radha? Why was she deified? That is the point of question, what challenges my rational thought. If Radha wasn't present till that time, and this poet wrote this whole, ballad of 400 poems in Sanskrit on Radha Krishna, pure erotica. And I had no idea till very, very recent that Geet Govind is not allowed to be kept in very pious and very conservative homes because it shows Radha as a passionate woman, openly flouting the norms of her marriage and in this crazy, passionate, deeply sensual relationship with Krishna. Because the bhakti people, the bhakti movement people who believe in that the Radha is a deity, they don't want to accept that there could have been a bodily relationship between Krishna and Radha. And my answer to that, very logical answer to that is that if Radha and Krishna were born in the body of human beings, then they have all the frailties that every human being has. And sexuality or accepting sexuality or embracing sexuality is nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not a frailty.
Correct.
It's the most beautiful power that a woman has been bestowed with. Because without sexuality, there would not have been the creation of the universe. So I have merely said that the voice of the deities has been changed according to the people who are talking about her. We don't know which one is true and which one is real. According to me, Radha, every woman today has a Radha in her. Every woman has somewhere or the other a Draupadi in her. And some Sita and some Gandhari. We all have each one of those deities or those goddesses inside us. So I don't know what the narrative should be or is. Mine is this.
The goddesses that you, in terms of you visualize or your creative team brings out, are they, what form do you work? Is it the dutiful wife or the sensual goddess or the, you spoke about that earlier also. And how do you see, the representation of Draupadi or a Gandhari or a Sita?
See, the one we create in Frazer and Haws, they're always sensuous.
That's the aspect you bring out.
I feel women in their form represented as being stunningly beautiful, as being sensuous in every which way, in their strength, in their psychological strength, in their physical strength, in their shringhar. Right? That is a very natural part of our culture, and it comes to us very easily. It's not necessary. But it's something which is an art which goes with any of the three mothers, Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, and the Devi Ma. That's one. The second is courage. So courage can be very quiet. Courage can be just the courage where there is no sorrow. So if you see the mythologies, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and in the mythologies where we call our women weak, according to social conditions, they have behaved.
Yeah.
Right? That's fine. But we have not ever looked at how much courage it requires for a Ma Sita to go into the forest. The physical courage, the psychological courage, the mental courage, the emotional courage. Why are we not talking about that? Why are we talking about just the fact that, oh, but Sri Ram said, or she had to go to Agni Pariksha? No. We are not even seeing the fact that she herself has remained in a state of ashok. That's why they say, na, Sita was an ashok ashok, without sorrow. So in Frazer and Haws, every figurine of the mother or the Devi that we craft is without sorrow. And without sorrow, you are left only with bliss, courage, determination, and a very, very proactive stance, which is Shakti herself, which is Bhagavati herself.
But also I don't know, I mean, okay, I get your point about without sorrow, but there is also, for a Gandhari, she gave up her life, her sight for, her
sacrifice.
So what is her mind? What is she going through? What, there is a, sacrifice is another role.
Yeah, so I feel that Devis are personifications of perfection.
Devi,
and we want to see in our goddesses a perfect, just a perfect form, whether it's beauty, whether it's piousness, whether it's virtue, whether it's sacrifice, whether it's the giving, nurturing mother, the caregiver, whether it's the protector. So she embodies all those qualities which we want to see in our goddesses.
Yeah.
That is the Devi. She's the embodiment of all of those. That is why it is, she's turned into a goddess. Now, we want to see that, and therefore, I subscribe to what you do, that if I buy an idol, to which I'm, by the way, I'm not an idol worshipper. I don't believe in rituals. I like the beauty of our rituals. I love that Karwa Chauth and that little, vrat we do for our children, that Hoi Ashtami. I do all of that because it's a beautiful feeling of emotional connect with either your husband or your child, with that kind of spirit. But coming back to what I was saying, if I buy an idol which I want to look at every day, which I want to venerate, which I want to pray to, which I want to decorate, I want her to feel beautiful and I feel beautiful with her, I want to see that form of perfection. I want to see that beautiful face and nothing more beautiful. Look at our paintings, look at Raja Ravi Verma and your own idols for that matter. You have embodied perfection, which is what we want to project into idols. I would not like to worship an idol with a nose broken or a Shrupnakha or a Manthara or a Kekai even for that matter. Although Kekai I feel has been very unjustly vilified. But anyway, that's not the matter of discussion for today. But because we look for perfection in something that we are going to venerate.
Do you feel we want to mirror ourselves?
Indeed, indeed. Because every one of us, like I said, is a small little, what should I say, a little image of the idol that we want to worship. So as women, we are caregivers, we are nurturers, we are people who give birth to the creators. Then we are, of course, we have that Raudra Roop, where we are protectors, we defend against evil, we can have anger, and of course, we can all have jealousies. We have all the emotions which are native to being women. So I completely believe in the fact that when you have an idol, we are looking for perfection. But the deities that we pray to, therefore, we are also looking for perfection in them. Yeah. And that is why I love Draupadi, because she's so full of imperfections. She's so human.
That's
she has,
true.
She's jealous, she's
temper,
scheming, she gives preferential treatment to the other brothers. She loves Arjun more than she loves others. I adore her.
Yeah.
Because she's the real woman.
Then we are okay with the weaknesses also. We are okay with the sufferings also. We are okay with the martyrdom also.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to make that as a point. We somehow, for instance, every time we discuss our mythology and our women, we feel there's something wrong with being weak. There's something wrong with being a martyr.
Okay, hold that thought. I'm going to come back after a break. I'm going to come back to Chanda and ask her to go along this train of thought, but after a quick break. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. This week we are discussing women in mythology as to how women are portrayed. Are we always looking for the perfect woman, or you were talking about the weaknesses in women? How does the, do we tend to gloss over that? Do we tend to or show them as greater than they are, make it like a virtue? Even the weakness becomes like a martyrdom.
That's the thing, Priya. When we talk about martyrdom, somehow we think there's something wrong with martyrdom. Sometimes we think we are wrong when we are seeing somebody like Gandhari, who had to cover her eyes and not see like her husband. We are seeing it as something that she'd missed out on. Why?
But would you see him doing that for her if it was reversed?
Maybe. Today I have a niece whose husband keeps Karwa Chauth Vrat for her. So social conditioning changes with time. Social conditioning change with time. Today you may have a Gandhari's husband who actually becomes blind for her or puts a patti on his eyes. My point is not that she suffered. My point is she happily joined hands with him so she could see what he could see. And therefore share his world in a way that no other woman, no other person could or had. That's a very strong woman. And that's a choice she made. It's a pro-choice, our mythology and our women. Sita went with Ram. She chose to go with Sri Ram. She wasn't forced to.
She chose to undergo the test?
She chose to undergo the test.
No, did she?
Absolutely.
She was forced to.
She wasn't forced to. She agreed to. When she was being forced to, she asked in the end, she'd fed up by then. She had lost her temper by then. She said, Mother Earth, come and take me. Because now I'm fed up. You go along. But she was never forced to do anything. She agreed to do it. The only thing she was forced to do was when Ravan pulled her away. Yeah? And that also she went with complete courage. Not, again, like I said, she did not go there into despair and despondency and weep and cried and all that. She sat there with faith, knowing fully well that help would come. So her love won through. So let's not also vilify weakness and martyrdom and suffering. There's a lot of courage behind it.
Do you see also, yeah, I agree with you in that, but there is a point that their stories, do you think, have adequately been told? I mean, who is your next, if I was to say, write another?
I'm not sure if I want to choose another mythological character. Like I said, my characters choose me. And I'll quickly narrate to you an anecdote, which is a little bit contrary to the rational woman that I appear to be. I believe in alternate realities. I believe in supernatural. I believe in all kinds of psychic happenings. I believe there's a whole world out there that we don't understand. I study Tantra. I'm scared to do it, but I'm very fascinated by the power that Tantra wields. So all of that. So about a couple of years ago, I was on one of my book promos, Kasturba I was doing, and I was in Ranchi. And after I finished the book discussion and the question answers, very unobscure, very middle-aged, sort of like blink and you miss kind of a man sitting at the back. He came forward and he said that, I want to talk to you. So I said, sure, we'll meet after this session is over. And in such a matter, I was so thrilled. You're on a high when your book is doing so superbly well and everybody's applauding you and this, that and the other. And then he said, we sat aside, of course I gave him the time, and he said that, there are certain things about you which I want to tell you. Is that you were a woman in your last birth. So I had this great skepticism inside me, typical thing, just somebody trying to flirt and trying to establish a contact, poor chap. But he was a psychic, and he said something astounding to me. He said, you were a woman in your last birth, and what I'm watching, you have this certain radiance on your face. There is an incomplete mission, okay, and you will keep coming back as a woman. Until that mission is fulfilled. Actually, if you
don't be in a hurry to fulfill the mission before you.
Listen, the ultimate release is when you don't ever come back. But I don't mind keeping on coming back in a glorious, beautiful form of a woman.
Exactly.
And not suffering like all beauty suffers. That is another thing which we'll talk about at another time. But then he said that you have an unfulfilled mission, which you will, until you finish it, you will come back, you'll keep coming back. So I said, so what is my mission? Tell me. So he said, this I won't be able to tell you. It will come to you. You yourself will have that awakening. And the day you have that awakening, you will have fulfilled the mission. So then somehow we got talking, like you asked me just now, next book and all. I said, I keep thinking maybe I should write about Radha, because she's that typical woman who embodies all the qualities that I emulate or I admire in women and all that. I said, I don't know where to begin. He said this to me and it's in my head like it's carved in stone. He said, 2 mahine baad Navratri aa rahi hai. Sure enough, 2 months later there was Navratri. He said, you light a diya and you meditate and you think about Radha. Radha will tell you her story. So of course at that time I dismissed it. It wasn't the mahal or anything to take this seriously. Later when I think back and I said, oh my God, what an epiphany that was. 2 months later, Navratri came. I forgot all about it. I'm not a meditator. My mind is too flighty. I cannot meditate. Ho gaya, I do my fast, I do my puja, all of that. About a week after Navratri, Priya, I had a dream. And it was not a dream, this was a vision. It was not that I'm somebody at the back watching something happen. I was in the dream and I dreamt of Radha. And there were these absolutely gorgeously vivid colors, nothing earthly, colors that I had never seen before. And there was Radha. And I wasn't watching her, I was inside her. I could feel that cloth, I could hear that music, I could, taste that air, that aromas around. And it was such a mesmerizing dream. I didn't want to wake up from it. When I woke up, I said, I found my subject.
Okay. What about you? If you had a, someone that, of all the goddesses, I know you have a whole argument that mythology is not fiction, but whom would you identify with? That argument I will not get into with you right now, that conversation.
Okay, right.
But whom would you identify or whom would, whose story really you would like to tell in whichever form you can?
That's a tough one. Because I find so many of them so fascinating. It would be a very hard one to choose. Bhagwati. Because there are so many expressions of her. I think if there are, 3 billion women approximately on Mother Earth or more, not to mention other sentient beings, then I think Bhagwati is an expression of them all. And I would like to explore how is it that this woman, this female character, this eternal feminine, Christianity calls it the eternal feminine. I would like to explore the eternal feminine, which is also the eternal truth. So it may change as many forms that it wants to, but yet inherently remains the same. That is the form that I would explore for myself. That's what I would write about.
In terms of, do you feel that in terms of the way Ramayana, Mahabharata, are they all told from the male gaze, or do you feel that the women's story also comes out?
No, male gaze. Because I think social conditioning of that time was such. So Valmiki ji, Tulsi Ram ji, great writers, poets, and they tried their best to a certain extent when they wrote. The social mores and social conditionings is what they adhered to, but nevertheless, I think they brought out some beautiful characters. I mean, we haven't explored the women in the Ramayana characters because we get so stuck with the men.
No, that's my point, exactly.
Yeah. So we get so stuck with the men. Even the Mahabharata, the stories are all about the men. Nobody has actually looked at all the women characters separately and explored each of them and their various personalities, their character traits. And or even woven them further. Even one line.
Got a story like this out.
Absolutely. So Neelima's done that for Radha, but there are so many in the Ramayana. Right. Manthara. There can be a whole story between Manthara and Kekai. Kaushalya. 14 years of Kaushalya.
Right.
Shabri. The power of Shabri. What went to her through her mind.
Yeah.
You have Manthara,
she spoke about Kekai. There's a
Shupnakha. Look at amazing characters. Same thing in Mahabharata. So you have Draupadi who lost 6 sons. And she said that I want vengeance. Ashwathama, I want Ashwathama killed. She told Arjun, she told Bhim. Where did that anger come from? Draupadi is a fascinating character.
She is, and very human, as you pointed out also. But on that note, thank you so much for this conversation, both of you, and I'm so glad I got you both together. And all the best for this book.
Thank you, Priya.
And wish you all the best with the Lakshmi series. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Priya. And when I come on the Lakshmi series, then I am going to
come on the show again.
Come on the show again
Okay,
for just Mahalakshmi, because she's another personality I feel that needs to be explored further.
Okay, so there we have a sequel on the this thing. But for now, thank you so much for watching this.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.